3-lock starting from the OEM remote is not available on this system. We're going to go ahead and lock our vehicle by pressing and releasing the single button one time. Going to unlock our vehicle by pressing and releasing the single button 2 times. Going to start our vehicle by pressing and holding the single button. We're going to release after approximately 3 seconds. The vehicle is going to crank start and run for 15 minutes. We can shut our vehicle off by pressing and holding the single button. We're going to use our plastic tool to remove the side panel of the dash. We're going to remove the T20 Torx or screw located underneath the hood release mechanism. To release the hood release cable, push the 2 tabs in on the side and push the cable back and bring it down through here. That will allow you to have a little room to unhook the cable from the release. Going to apply outward pressure. We're going to release the diagnostic plug. We can release the diagnostic plug by pushing the tabs down while we pull back on the plug. Tab located on both sides. We're going to remove the 4 10mm bolts. Remove the 3 Phillips screws. We're going to go ahead and remove the steering column cover plastic. Going to apply pressure to the side. Going to go ahead and we're going to remove the steering column cover plastic. Going to apply pressure to the opposite side. With both sides unclipped, we're going to go ahead, we're going to push towards the firewall on the plastic and then pull down. So a little lip here that will get hung up behind the wheel if you don't push back. We're going to need access to the driver's kick panel. We're going to go ahead and we're going to remove this nut from the kick panel. We're going to remove the tread plate. Just going to unclip it. We're going to remove the kick panel. We have a clip down low. We're just going to apply outward pressure while we wiggle. That's the clip. It's located down in this hole. Then we have access to wiring harnesses in the kick panel. We're going to plug in our ignition portion of our T-harness. Going to plug it all the way in and make sure it locks. Now we're going to plug the plug we removed from the ignition into the other side of our T-harness. And we're going to have to ground our system. Going to take the black wire with the ground ring and we're going to ground our system to one of the 10mm that we removed the metal plate from. We'll have to reattach this when we reassemble the vehicle. We're going to remove the immobilizer plug from behind the ignition switch. We're going to plug our immobilizer plug in. And we're going to plug the vehicle's immobilizer plug into the other end of our T-harness. Going to make sure the plug locks. We're going to install our diagnostic plug T-harness. We're going to locate the vehicle's diagnostic plug that we released from the underdash plastic. We're going to plug our diagnostic plug connection into the vehicle's diagnostic plug. It's going to lock. This end will be remounted when we assemble the vehicle, and this will become our diagnostic plug. We're ready to pair our device to the vehicle. Locate the programming button on the top of the Evo. We're going to hold the program button down while we plug in the 6-pin wire plug. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to hold the program button down while we plug in the 6-pin. When we do this, the lights on the front are going to begin to cycle. We're going to want to release when we have a yellow LED lit. We're going to hold the button, plug in the 6-pin. Lights will begin to cycle. Want to release on yellow. If we release on any other color or make a mistake, we'll repeat the procedure. Hold the button down, release on yellow. We're going to be very conscious not to press the button again. We're going to plug in our white plug that comes from our diagnostic plug connection into the white port on the back. Now from our immobilizer plug, we have two harnesses. We have a 20 pin. We're going to plug our 20 pin in. And we have a red plug that we're going to plug in on the top of the module in the red port. Red plug goes in the red port. At this point, we'll need the key to the vehicle. We're going to press and release the program button 2 times. 1, 2. When we do this, the yellow light's going to begin to flash. We're going to wait till the yellow light turns on solid. We're now going to place the key in the ignition and turn the ignition to the run position. Notice the red light will also come on the bottom. We're going to leave the key on until the blue light flashes rapidly. Then we're going to shut the key off, remove it from the ignition. We're going to reinsert the key in the ignition and turn the ignition to the run position. Our lights are going to cycle. You're going to leave the key in the run position. This process can take up to 2 minutes. When the module has completed programming, the yellow light will flash. This is an indication that the module programming is complete. We'll now shut the key off and remove it from the ignition. At this point, we can test remote starting, but we'll need to make further connections to be able to control locking and unlocking on the vehicle. We're going to trigger remote start by pressing and holding the single button down on our 411. The remote starter is set to run for 15 minutes. We're going to go ahead and we're going to shut the engine off. To obtain a lock and unlock wire or arm and disarm, we're going to be accessing this harness right here. I'm going to go ahead, we're going to remove the plastic protective covering. To make our lock and unlock connections, we will use the small red and the small blue. They can be tested with a test light. To unlock the doors, apply 2 negative pulses to the blue wire. To lock the doors, a single negative pulse to the red wire will actuate the door locks. These are the smallest gauge red and blue in this harness. There are multiple colors, so we want to make sure we have the smallest gauge. And there's another red on this twisted pair. We don't want this red. I don't see another small blue. I see another blue that's bigger, but what we want are these two small gauge wires. I'm going to give you a close-up. Here's our small gauge blue or unlock wire, and here's our red or lock wire. This would technically be a lock arm, unlock, and disarm. We've applied posi taps to our lock and unlock wire. We're going to go ahead and we're going to make our connections. We have a violet wire and a violet wire with a white stripe. We're going to connect our solid violet wire first to our red wire. We're going to go ahead and loosen the collar on our posi tap, insert our wire into the collar, push it in firmly, and tighten the collar. We'll now give a pull test to make sure we're connected. We're going to repeat this procedure on the blue wire. We're going to loosen the collar. We're going to strip 1/4 of an inch of the insulation off of the wire. We're now going to put our wire in the collar. We're going to push it in firmly, and we're going to tighten the collar. We're going to give a pull test. Now we will have the ability to lock and unlock the vehicle. We're going to press one time for door lock. We're going to press 2 times for door unlock. We're going to go ahead and apply a posi tap to our parking light wire. We have a white wire coming from our 6-pin plug that we're going to connect for the parking lights. We're going to strip about 1/4 of an inch of wire. We're going to loosen the collar on the posi tap that we applied to the parking light wire. Now going to insert the wire into the collar, push it in, and then tighten the collar. This will make our parking light connection. There's one last connection that you may or may not need. It is the auto lamp shutdown connection, which is dark blue on our unit. It is going to go to this white wire right here on this bottom plug. I'll give you a close-up after I apply the posi tap. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to apply a posi tap. Going to unband our dark blue wire. Again, we'll strip about 1/4 of an inch of the insulation off. And we're going to loosen the collar on the tap. Insert the wire in and tighten it. And I'll give you a closer look. Top row, 2nd pin in, adjacent to this violet wire. Try to move it out of the way. See a little better, right where the white's coming out. That is our auto lamp shutdown.